Welcome back, tribe. I am so happy that you have joined me here today. I have another great interview with my sister, Shannon. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to hear her story, for you guys to get to know her. I absolutely love her. I love the memories that we shared in foster care together. And yeah, you guys get to hear it in a minute. But I am super excited. Um, this was a connection that I built in Boyertown. So Boyertown is number 3 of the foster home journey that I am doing on my channel. So you guys get to see the journey that I had in foster care. If you go to Who Was I Living With episodes, you'll see there's 2 already, and this is the 3rd one. So this will be part of that. But yeah, I'm excited because we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in this foster home. This foster home was a blessing. There were things towards the end that I did not like at all. But you know, my sisters, this is the start of an extended family for me. And my sisters that came out of this home mean so much to me, all of them. So I am excited to introduce you guys to my sister Shannon, which you'll get to meet in a
Oh,
minute.
that's
I've been good. I've been good. Trying to
good.
take it one day at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, you
getting
got a
better.
kid for every day of the week, so
Yes, that
that's
is true.
tough. That is
Yeah.
tough. I like bow down. I like want to strangle my 2 kids, so I God bless you there.
Yes, they are a blessing. Sometimes it can be roller coaster, but yeah.
But I get it. You always love the big family, so
Yes,
yeah.
that
So
is
I
true.
I get that, but yeah, I just they exhaust me, man.
I feel you. I feel
And
you.
now I'm going to the whole 'nother chapter with
Oh,
my daughter, so that's
oh,
I can't believe I made a child make it to 18 years. I will tell you
woo.
that. Would you ever would have thought, like, if we would have had this conversation,
Back
like,
then? No,
I would have oh my gosh. Oh
no,
my gosh.
I would have never.
Never.
Wow. And to just think about our life and how we are in their life, like, wow. Yeah, I
Things
would
that
have
I
never thought.
refuse to do. Yeah. The
Yeah.
people that I don't ever wanna be like. Yes.
Woo. It's a list, but yeah.
It is a list. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm excited for your podcast. Like, I want to be your
Oh,
partner. How much money do I have to
thank
invest?
you. Well, right now, I don't even know, sis. I'm trying to figure it out, but the more the merrier. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, I had a meeting last night, and it went so well. It was a dinner I got invited to. And it was just like it was amazing but sad because things are actually getting worse in the system than better.
Yeah.
And so the more of us that work together and just bring information and bring our stories and shed light to everything, I think it'd be a positive thing if we do it together.
I agree. I This has like been something that's, obviously near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
But it's like life got so busy that I couldn't
Mm.
do anything like I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like that takes
Yes.
time because you know what I mean? And I'm like, so now that they're getting older and I don't have to be at their beck and well, I mean, we're still at their beck and call no matter how
Yes.
old they are, but
But there's not. It's not like they're babies.
yeah, they're not babies. They can feed themselves. They can get, they know
Yeah.
when to check in and when not to check in. So this has been like, all right, like I've been really thinking, what else like do I want to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I have a story, you have a story, like we all have stories, but like I think it was real. I know that we've been talking about it for a couple years, right? Like this definitely been on
Yes.
our bucket list, but I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about the prison system, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, foster care is like that, and they
Yes.
gave me like a weird look, and I was like, not in regards to, excuse
Three
me,
hots and a cot.
right? I mean, even though if any of us have been to group homes, that's what those
Yes.
are like. But like it's when you get out,
Hmm.
it's there is nothing for you. And being one of the oldest in our foster home, there's things I look back on and I feel guilty for.
Mm.
But then I also, because I'm a mom now and I'm older and more mature, it's
Yeah.
like I understand why I feel guilty, but also at the time there was no way I could have taken care of you guys either, right? Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even take care of myself, right?
Mhm.
And every single one of us had a different situation with our home, right?
Yeah.
And how we were living. And so for me, like it was a learned lesson, and I was a very angry, nasty child, teenager, and I recognize that. But I mean, we all were, right, in our own
Yeah.
little way.
Yes.
Um, and even the best of us were even, had our bad days. And it just, I look back on that and a lot, like I feel like the older I get, the more I see my kids grow. I'm like, excuse my language. I don't know what your cursing is on the podcast,
Go
but
ahead. Be you.
I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Mhm.
how did we do this? Like, how did we? And not all of us made it, rest in peace to, to our
Yeah.
sister Erica, definitely. But,
Whew, yes.
it's not all of us made it, but those who did, I still look back and I'm like, how the hell did we do that? Because I could tell my story, you could tell your story, which are two completely different stories, but we were what they consider successful,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I probably look at it going, I don't know what you think was successful about any of that, right? But,
Yes.
but at the same time, it's like, yeah, we did that without support. We did
Yeah.
that without guidance. We did that without love. We did that without empathy. We did that with being judged.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I can't tell you, I don't know about you. That's why we're here, but I
I'm
can't
getting
tell you how many
chills.
times that people looked at me when I said I was in foster care and they were like, oh, like you should have been on drugs or like had 17 different kids and on welfare. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's it's not how that works, but it's
Yeah.
just to be able to beat that stereotype and be role models for our own children and things that we do or don't do because of the experiences that we have.
Yes.
And, you know, I definitely, I wish that I could have had my kids at the age that I'm at mentally now instead of the age I was physically, because I
Yes.
feel like I would have been better.
Yeah.
Because, and this is one thing I tell my daughter, like when we get in our argument, I mean, can you imagine me and her bumping heads? But um, she, I tell her, I'm like, I was growing with you. Everything you did for the first time, I did for the first time because she was my first, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I didn't really have the best role models for raising kids. So, like,
Yes.
it was wing it, and the whole fake it till you make it mentality. But looking back, I'm like, oh, that's not really healthy, not for us and not
That's not.
for them. And I really wish that there was more programs for foster children when they leave, like a guidance. Like I can understand the prison system, but I do believe that there needs to be some reparations there,
Hmm.
because you're letting people that have been there 20 years, who've never experienced life, go be like, hey, go figure it out. Like they're gonna fail. You're setting them up to fail, and you're
Yes.
setting us foster kids up to fail because that's how we take the easy route.
Hmm.
There are some of us who took the easy route and whether it be the drugs or guys or girls or, however that played out, or they were completely and utterly alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then as, as much as we all wanted to connect and stay together, we're still trying to figure out, like we all have
Yes.
some baggage we're trying to figure out. And it's like, I want to be there. I want to give you everything I have, but like I'm trying to raise this family. Like I'm the breadwinner, right? Like I'm trying to do all this, but I'm also trying to get all of the things that we didn't get as kids, which is that extended family and that love and that comfort and that safety net. Um,
Hmm.
and that's really like one of the things, like I wish that the government, whatever administration, I don't care which side of the fence you're on, focused on that because these are kids. And we all
Yes.
know at 18 years old, no matter how much that paper says you're an adult, up here,
Yes,
you still look
mentally,
like a
you are
kid.
not prepared to be an adult. Like, it's not going to really work. And it's hard. It is hard. And you're right. And this is the conversation that continually comes up with you and other people and myself. And even in the dinner at the dinner I just had, and it's sad. It's sad that we live our whole lives, we were ripped away or taken out of a situation, put into a system. We're told what to do. We're clothed, they provide. Sometimes, we're moved from place to place. It's never, we don't know how to use our voice. I feel. And so in not using your voice or blending into the background or becoming a people's pleaser or having all different types of issues, now you're in the real world, you're back to like family, and or you're by yourself. How do you figure that out? How do you deal with what you dealt with? You're back to a family that doesn't look like what you left. Your idea of what the world was going to be when you get grown and get out there is not really the case. So it's just like, yes, I agree with you. We need more people, we need more programs, we need more ambassadors. Really, like, I came out of foster care, I did it. How did I do it? Because it was a struggle. So we need those stories out there for people to listen to and be encouraged by and start healing. And so, for before we move forward with that, I would love to have the tribe and get to know you a little better. Know your little backstory. You can give as much as you want, as little as you want, and it's all right with me. So we're just gonna let this be what it's gonna be.
All right. Well, my backstory. So I'm a little bit different of a situation.
Okay.
My I have two biological parents that are currently living. And my biological mother was just not fit to be a mother.
Okay.
And I was molested by her boyfriend, 7 years old. And from that point, like I was going back and forth between my mom and my dad. My dad ended up getting custody of me. Um, and then for a couple years, like I lived with my dad and my his wife, my stepmother, and it just didn't work out.
Mm, yeah.
And after a couple, like it was a very, for me, and I'm speaking my truth. So for me, it was a very unloved, unsafe feeling.
Mm,
Um, I do, looking back, and for the record, I have a great relationship with her now. But at that time, I always felt like it was a choice. Like my dad had to choose between me and her.
mm,
Um, and then a couple years later, I was molested by another family member, and my parents ended up putting me into a hospital
okay.
for depression. And I was a very smart kid, and I read a lot. And the one psychologist tried to diagnose me with manic depression, which is a disease.
Hmm.
That's not what I had. Diseases don't go away, right? We know that. So, but I was having family problems. I felt very alone. I felt very secluded. The way that my parents behaved at that time was controlling. Like they felt like the more force that they used, the more that I would bend to their will, so to speak.
Mm,
And I just needed someone to talk to.
yes.
Looking back on it now, it's like I needed to feel loved. I needed to um, feel like I was wanted. And my
Yeah.
dad worked a lot, and so did my mom. She worked a lot as well, but it was not a good place for me at the time. I was literally in my room, grounded all of the time. I would have to eat dinner separately, with like by myself. I would have to do all the dishes. Like it's a joke in my extended family because of being called Cinderella.
Ooh.
um, because like we would have, when I was younger, we would have Thanksgivings or Christmases or something, and if they were being held at my parents' house, like while the cousins were playing, I'm doing everybody's dishes.
Okay.
So, it was a controlled environment, and now that we're parents, there's some things I can definitely look back on and I can say, you guys made the best decisions with what you knew, right? What you had to work with. There are other things that I'm like, "Hmm, that could have been a selfish behavior, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we all have it. I even
Yes.
have it now as a mom, right? Like
Yes.
sometimes just shut the damn bathroom door and let me go to the bathroom,
Yes. They not.
right? Like, oh,
You waited. You all
yes,
this time.
you just wait. So so with that being said, I was depressed, and I don't even know if my parents think. I think today that they think that that was a facade, but I actually threatened to commit suicide, and I
Mhm.
went to school and I told the school, told them what happened, like where I was at, and that there's way more stories. We'll have lots of podcasts that go into like the individual
Yeah.
stories, certain things that happen, but. Um, Lo and behold, child services, well, it was access services at the time,
Mhm.
um, showed up and pretty much I went into a respite foster home. I was 12 years old. It was December 6th, 1995, I believe. Um, God, I'm getting old. I can't remember the dates anymore. And like I was 12, I was getting ready to turn 13. So, and the foster home was different because they were British. And I had a foster sister there. And then my dad, I believe this is the story I'm told, so I don't know if it's entirely accurate, but apparently my dad wanted me into an establishment, not someone's home. So I ended up going to a group home. Um, and I was supposed to be there for 3 to 6 months. That was
Mhm.
my initial diagnosis. But because I wouldn't freely talk about being molested all of the time, which is the therapy that was back then, which was just talk about it, talk
Yes.
about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, um, it ended up being 12 to 14 months. So
Mm.
I was stuck in this group home at 12, turning 13 years old,
So
uh,
basically, they extended your stay because you wouldn't open up.
pretty much.
Mm.
Um, and that's not what my issues were. Like, yeah, you needed to deal with that. But like,
Yeah.
even today, I can tell you I'm the type of person like, it happened, it's over, it's done with. I can't do anything about the past. All I can is compartmentalize it and mark it and be like, all right, well, that happened, that sucked, but I will kill somebody if they touch my kids. That's a different story,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
so I'm
Amen.
like, that anger is still there, that hurt's still there, but it's gonna be there for when it's needed, you
Hmm.
know. But I can't change the past, so I can only grow from it. And what is there to really grow from? Like people say grow from that like what is there to grow from? A guy was sick and he made a choice and it wasn't the right choice and he got in trouble for it. I
Yes.
don't have to learn anything from it. It just happens to be that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So um but the fact that it was a family member, that's where the trust comes in, right? So
Mhm.
and I didn't learn anything other than I don't trust people. I don't trust people, right? Like, and when you're in foster care and you're having holidays, every holiday is different with a different foster family, or you're in a group home and you're eating like lunch table trays, or, like it's overwhelming as a kid, right? So you kind of shut down and you don't really feel. So it's like, what is there to talk about? So I wrote poems, I played the game because that's what I had to do, but it
Yeah.
didn't really help me.
Mhm.
And I was angry. Like someone needed to find out what was why I was angry, and no one ever did. So, they medicated us, right? Paxil,
Mhm.
Provolol,
Yes.
or Zoloft, Pamelar. I mean, when people were on Ritalin, like that was their go-to, and
Mhm.
it sucks. So I was there, and then I got out, and I got the phone call at the group home when I knew I was going to leave, and I thought I was going back to my home,
Mhm.
that my parents didn't want me. There was no other way to explain it to me than that. Your parents don't want you back home. So I'm going back into the same foster home that I was at prior to me going into this group home. So it was the British foster family. Um, They were different, right? Because they were British, so they have their own little things and their own little ketchups and stuff. We don't call it ketchup, but they call it something else. And I learned a lot, and I had a foster sister there. That was their daughter, and she is, and I still am in contact with her. Gorgeous and beautiful, and um, just had like everything going for her.
Mhm.
And again, I'm speaking my truth just in case anyone's, this is how I remember it. She got involved into the wrong crowd. And there was one day I came home and she had a friend in her room and she held up something and I was like, "What's that?" And come to find out it was crack rock. And I have never been in a situation where I feel like, to be a hero or not to be a hero or to do good
Yeah.
or not to do good. Like it's always just kind of been gray. And um, that didn't sit well. Like she could sing her ass off. She was gorgeous. And like, because we have been around people that have done drugs and we've been around the alcohol, like it didn't sit well. And I sat on it. And what I didn't know was that British people are very, 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 very private. And they don't talk about things that go
Mhm.
wrong in their families. And um, I went to a teacher who I felt safe with and I could talk to, and I explained the situation without names.
Right.
That teacher told me, like, because I brought it up, he said, if like, I'm going to have to say something if you don't. So I ended up going to the guidance counselor. I knew in that moment that the moment that I opened my mouth and said, like, there's a problem, I was going to lose my home, right? I had made friends. I had a best friend. I did Civil Air Patrol in Quakertown. Like I was building my life. Like I was turning into a normal kid, and
Mhm.
this threw a wrench into it. And instead of keeping my mouth shut, I went to the guidance counselor because it concerned me, and I knew she was hanging out with the wrong crowd, right? So
Yeah.
I thought as my sister, I would want someone to do that for me, and I did. I probably didn't think it through properly. I probably didn't handle it properly. I'm not really sure, but I will say that I don't regret it.
Yes.
But I got home from school and it was just not a good experience. I ended up getting kicked out of my home and I ran to my friend's street about a mile and a half down the road. Um, and his parents offered to be foster parents, so I didn't have to leave the area. But his dad had like a DUI from like 7 years prior to that, and like there's a 10-year statute or something. So they couldn't. But that's when I ended up. That was right before it was my 11th grade year, right before Thanksgiving, because I ended up having Thanksgiving with you for the first time.
Yes.
Uh, and I was very, very, very unhappy. Not at that, but I wish that I had learned how to really control my emotions or at least sort through my anger because looking back, we had a really cool family,
Hmm.
regardless of my personal feelings of, again, the ending of my situation there. But I wish I would have been more of a bigger sister because that was something I always wanted. Like I wanted sisters. I wanted us to like go get in trouble together and go do stupid stuff. And I mean,
Yeah.
we still did stupid stuff, but like that was some of the happier times of my teenage years. I remember when you first sent me some of those pictures that we had, I was like, oh my God. First of all, I remember those shoes. I lived in those shoes. I loved those damn things.
But
Uh,
can I say something? Because you remember it, like we all remember it the way we remember it. And what
yeah.
I hold on to, I think I forgot I don't, because I forgot everything else. Because as you were talking, I wanted to say, but I felt like you were the happiest person because I remember the smiles. I remember the playing in the snow, building snowman. I remember painting. I think that picture that I posted, I sent you, was us. I think we had lipstick and we were
Oh
painting our
yeah.
face
We
in the
were Halloween
hotel.
or something.
Yeah, me, you, and Tommy. We're painting our faces and stuff and taking pictures. Like I remember those moments, and you don't know how much they meant to me because I was going through my own struggles. And much like you, it
Mhm.
sounds familiar, and I was so angry inside and so upset, and I couldn't understand. And the way I dealt with it was to put on a smile. And I didn't want to be forced to talk. And you just made me laugh. Like we had so much fun together.
So I
Yes,
want you
you
to, I
did.
just needed to say that because I want you to hold on to that because I know we made some hard decisions in life. Some we may regret, some we don't care about. And we went through our things, but you made my stay better. Like you made my time there, like it felt, and this was with other sisters too, but I remember specifically things that you and I have we did, and I just hold on to that because it just
We
kept
we
me
had we
going.
had one of the stronger bonds,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like it was, we clicked,
yeah.
but oh my God, when you got
I
mad,
think you're a nurturer though.
well, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is because I tend to go to people that protect me or nurture or have that like love that you don't have to speak about, but you know it's there.
It's there,
So I
right?
think that's what it was because I was so like the way I remember I was just like I don't know, it just kept me going.
You and Brenda were, you two were what made it so hard for me to walk out. I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard the one version of the story, but for me to leave the way that I did, I had reached my point,
Mhm.
but it broke me because I wanted to take you with me.
And they didn't tell me.
Because I
I
didn't
know I
want
felt
you
the pain
guys
of
to
you
have
leaving
to
because they
deal
didn't
with
tell
what
me.
I had just dealt with, you
Yeah,
know?
I didn't know. I just know. Whew. Sorry, y'all. So let's start. I feel it. I feel it. And I never spoke about it. I never opened up. There's a lot of things. This is why I did the podcast because I never said anything. I know it's like when
We never healed from this. We
yeah,
just
and I just
bottled
felt
it
like I went through
inside.
that
Yeah.
already, losing my real sisters. I'm not real. Sorry, my blood sisters, my blood brothers. I lost my biological family. They just took me out, and I remember everybody screaming. And then one day, it was like slow, like everybody that I loved in this home just started leaving, and different people coming in. And I'm like, what is going on? I couldn't understand it, and I know why I left for my reasons, and I wasn't gonna put up with what I put up with. But there, yeah, when you left, it was just like I lost a sister. I just didn't understand. I felt my safety was gone.
Yeah, and I had it from the reverse side because I felt like I failed because, and especially as I got older, like, Facebook wasn't a thing really. I think
Yeah,
what I had the Nokia my senior year that I would sneak in, try to text Derek and stuff in our room, but Facebook wasn't a thing. So like I not a fan of social media by any means. It's just too much negativity anymore. But I love it because we were able to connect. And that was one piece of my heart that I was like, yes, I have my family, and we've all, those of us still left, like might have reconnected. We might have grown up. We might have been able to have those hard conversations, or we may have written off our family completely.
Mhm.
But we're all mature enough now to be able to be like, okay, like I want to reach out. I want to see how you're doing.
Yeah,
Let's do a yearly get together. And if you show, you show. Great. If you don't, you don't. We'll be here next year, because I think it's important. Like you said, like we just have been nonstop trying to survive since
yes,
we've been out of foster care. And if you're anything like me, you don't ever really, unless it's right before you go to bed and all of the worst crazy thoughts hit you right before you close your eyes and fall asleep. But we never really able to, there's not enough therapy in the world because every situation was different. And now that I'm a parent, the therapy I would have had as a kid doesn't apply to me now as an adult, right? Like, so it's like, yeah, I still have anger issues. Don't get me wrong. I will still yell with the best of them and curse
yes.
my head off because
We're a
we're
work in
not keeping
progress.
it in anymore. But but at the same time, like I can yell at my kids, but my kids know that they love me or that I love them. And there is no second guessing that. Like that was one of the things that I'm like, I just wish that my kids grow up happy, healthy, and know that I love them no matter what I mean, I do tell them if they turn into a serial killer, I might have to rethink their contract. But, um, but like, other than that, like I'll love you and I'll be there for you. And no matter how mad I am, no matter how red my face gets, no matter how I'm like, go to your room, I don't want to talk to you for the rest of the night. In the next morning, I'm good. We're fine. You're my kids,
Yeah.
and we were dumb too, right? We did stupid things, and you can look at that and like I'm like, oh, 10 years ago I might have been mad when you broke my dish on the floor, but now I'm like, ugh, if only mom knew about the knives I threw at her door when we used to shoot in the kitchen, you know, those things. Or the extra salt we put in the shrimp salad because it was kind of bland. But um, but it was fun, and like
Yeah.
I am technically a single child, an only child between my biological mother and my father,
Yeah.
but I do have half siblings, but each of us have our own issues too. And, um, my one brother's in Florida, my other one's in New York, and then to have you guys. So back to where my Facebook thing was like, that's like, it's nice to be able to share pictures of the kids, to be able to
Yes.
pick up the phone, text you, and we just catch up where we left off. And
Yeah.
it's like, no matter how old we are, you're always going to be my baby sister. And it doesn't matter what time of night, as long as I don't turn my phone off as silent like I do sometimes,
Yeah.
you could call me anytime and you know that I will be there. If I need to
Yeah.
get on a plane and come to Texas, I will come to Texas. You freely shoot people in Texas. So, like, that's a good state to go to.
We can carry.
You can carry, right? So, I mean, I'm not worried about getting in trouble. So,
Yes.
it's, and I feel bad because I don't have this relationship with some of our other sisters,
Yeah.
the ones that I do reach out from time to time. But it is a shame because there is one specific relationship that's where I feel like I failed the most, if I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Because I think had I stuck or took her or kept her, she would be in a way better place than the path that she took at the time. And it really bothered me. And we don't speak anymore because of social media. It's shocking. I know it's crazy, but she had an incident occur and I didn't know and I wasn't aware. And apparently it was posted. And because I'm not on social media all the time. I missed it and reached out, and it was all about money. Like, you can give me money. Um, but I'm like, no, like, I want to help you get your life. Like,
Yes.
you have such potential. You are so brilliant. You are beautiful. This is not where your life should have gone. And so I tried to be what I thought was a bigger sister, but also I don't have any role models to go off of. So I could have
Yeah.
failed there too. But, I had to cut it off because it's like, you can't blame me. Like, the first step, you have to take accountability, right? Like,
Yes.
you have to take accountability. And I have no problem giving you money and helping you get stay at my house, get yourself back on track. Let's get a license. Let's get your degree. Let's do whatever you want to do. Like, but I'm not going to be an ATM because all that to me is the same thing as providing someone alcohol who's an
Enabling. Yep.
alcoholic, and it sucks because it was one of the hardest decisions, not worst, one of the hardest decisions, because I do want you, like, I want you to meet my kids. I want you guys to be involved. Like, they know you as Aunt Lou's, not that your podcast people might know what that means, but
Yeah.
that's what they know you as, right? Like,
Mhm.
and so it's like we show pictures, and when you show those pictures, I don't have many of my teenage years,
Mm.
shockingly enough. So when my daughter's like, "Hey, what did you look like?" I'm like, "Yeah, here's the yearbook." But and even that was minuscule because I was only at each high school for a short amount of time. I went to
Yeah.
four different high schools.
Wow.
So, and that ours is where I finished, but yeah, it's been a long ride, but I think because of being a parent, I was able to forgive my parents for a lot of things.
Yes.
And I also am at the point where we're too old and we've had a lot of trauma and a lot of PTSD and a lot of guilt and a lot of guilt that we never should have had to begin with, but
Yeah.
we have it.
Yes.
And I don't want to feel that in this chapter of my life. I
Yep.
want to enjoy my life. Like, I did the deed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready
Yeah.
to enjoy it now.
I
And
agree.
and I still have biological family issues, I cut off my biological mother too. She made a really dumb decision. And then she did not have the I'm going to be frank, the balls to get on the phone with me. Her sister did. And then I got berated by her sister.
Mm.
And I was just like, yeah, not, no, no. And it was on me because I tried, I tried as her only child to be a part of her life, to have my kids a part of her life. But it's one thing if you're going to hurt me. It's another thing when you're going to put my kid in a dangerous situation.
Mm.
And
I
that's
agree.
where I was like, yeah, no. And that was years ago. And I want nothing to do with them. And it's not that I don't have a love for them. I do because they're blood, right? Like absolutely. But I'm not willing to keep being the batting ram of, or the punching bag or because that is the side of my family that was my mom would be like, you got grounded. That's why your dad wouldn't send you to me. No, my dad wouldn't send me to you because you're drunk. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was no
Yeah.
accountability from that parent perspective.
Mm.
And now that I am a parent, that's unexcusable to me.
Yeah.
You're a parent. It's one thing if you want to admit that, look, I wasn't mature enough and I'm still not mature enough to be a parent. I respect that. Absolutely. It's not for everybody. But you can't sit here and blame me for stuff that happened when I was a child, when
Mm.
you were supposed to be the one protecting me and you were supposed to be the one looking out for me. And you should have been able to have those adult conversations, right? Like,
Yeah.
and if it was easier to blame the kid, which we all know it is,
Mm.
okay, then that's fine. But I'm not a kid anymore and I'm not putting up with it anymore. And
Yeah.
we've worked too damn hard to get ourselves to a good place mentally where we're not crying at night anymore, where we're not wondering our self-worth, if we're not looking in the mirror and just being like, I don't know if I can do this another day, like,
Mhm.
but we still do because that's what survivors do. But nobody realized that we're walking depressed people,
Yes.
and those of us that are
Yes.
fighting through it, it's exhausting and it's a lot of energy that most people don't realize that we are putting on 24/7
Mhm.
even when we're sleeping because then that's when the dreams happen or the nightmares happen or and those of us who can dream sleep without dreaming, that's great, but then you have that anxiety before you go to bed and the moment
Yeah.
you wake up. So
Yes.
like it's just that's where we as foster children leaving the system need help because it is a lasting effect. And we can make and they're all choices. Don't get me wrong. We're still adults now. We're still mature. We still make choices, but that brain doesn't fully mature, not even in your 20s. Like,
Yeah.
like even in your 30s, you're still figuring stuff out. Like, it's just, I was yelling and screaming. And I'm like, this is not working out. Let me talk to them. Well, the talking's not working. So then I just realized that kids just don't listen to you in general. So then once I figured that out, then I was able to like mentally handle that. But like I was acting like my parents, and then I was acting like my foster parents. And then it was like,
Yes.
I needed to find me. And
Mhm.
I didn't really know who that was because we never really got a chance to find ourselves. We've just been surviving this whole time.
Yes.
And there's little pieces of us, but it's not like Kim Kardashian who's living her best life, right? Like because she's able to
Mhm.
be her authentic self completely.
Yeah.
And I feel that sometimes I can't ever be the way that I was with you guys, the way that you guys truly know me because people judge.
Mhm.
People say things, people don't understand. And why talk about it then? So you keep it inside and you bottle it up. And then you have sisters who want to do podcasts and you're like, oh my God, I've been wanting to do it too. And let's talk because,
Yeah.
this is way cheaper than therapy. Um, but it needs to be said. And I think a lot of us, like I said, because we're older now that
Yeah.
we feel more comfortable talking about their situations. I mean, I think when I got there, if I would have asked any one of you what you were in there for,
Mm.
I would have gotten the look like, what are I don't
Yep.
know, like who the hell are you? But it's crazy. It's crazy when you asked me to do this, like, the memories just started flooding and
Yes.
like the Titanic and us calling each other the Titanic nicknames of all the ships with Tom and like I mean, and I will say like my leaving was the only really bad memory I have,
Mm.
but the 2 years that I was there was, like you said, one of the 2 years of the coolest years of my life. Like it was great. Like I felt what it was like to have a big family, you know,
Yeah.
The fighting. Oh my God, that was hysterical.
Yeah.
But like getting, rushing out on a Saturday morning to go get our chores done before everybody else so we could get by the pool and get the lounge.
Yes.
Just
Traveling.
traveling. Oh my God, me cracking my head on the van when we went to Canada and smashed my nose like that. Oh my God. So like that was crazy. And me being like I was like 6 months away from being able to legally drink, which no one
Mm.
was. Jamila got to drink. I was so jealous. Um,
I had my first taste of wine because Heidi, she always had wine in the fridge, and I tried it. It was so nasty.
so
Oh my
gross.
god, it was so.
Oh my
Now I
God.
drink it. Surprisingly, I drink it all the time. But yeah, it was nasty.
Yeah, like I loved seafood, but it is definitely their fault that I have a high class like taste for
Palate.
food. Yeah, it is definitely their fault. But no, I mean, but it was great, and it's good to see everybody thriving, even, the sisters that I don't talk, we may not talk all the time, but like
Yeah,
Becky, Melissa, Rose, like they're all they look like they're thriving. And
yeah,
so it's really good to see that. And it just felt like that was like such an eternity of a lifetime. Like it was almost like a different lifetime almost.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I would love, and this has been my other idea. So no, I'm copywriting this for anybody listening.
For real.
But um, but I think like we should put a book together, like of people's experiences, because I think it's important. Like
Yes.
they don't talk about it enough. I know that there's programs out there and you can go to a website and read, but like that's not that's not what
Yeah.
foster care is. Like you have good homes and you have bad homes and you have the in-betweens, right?
Yes, we do.
And the in-betweens and the good homes are the ones that you would like. You won the lottery if you get those. And
Mhm.
I can honestly say that like I personally did not have any horrible homes. Like they genuinely cared to an extent. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For as much as they could. And ours was crazy because they had like 8 of us, six, Tom,
I was
Melissa,
like, I walked into
like
25
11. I
faces.
don't know. There was like a lot. It was like I just remember
Mhm.
the Hall of Fame wall, or like in the living room,
Yes, in
like
the living
everybody
room,
there.
the pictures.
Yeah, I'm like that's way too many kids. I would have like been an alcoholic and gray and like,
Yes, sir.
oh, but I'm very thankful for them because
Yeah.
because like you said, you get ripped away from one and get thrown into another. There is no grace period. There is no like, hey, like come see the school or just, like, no,
Mhm.
there's none of that, none of that. And um and it wasn't easy because, as soon as I came, there was already conflicting personalities, right? So,
Yes.
and it was, and I'm sitting there going, I didn't even do anything. Like, I didn't ask to be here. Like, like why, granted, I
I
was able
I
to,
feel like that's where I became an overthinker in the system because I was left to my thoughts. I couldn't speak what I wanted to speak. Felt therapy was forced on me. I
yes,
didn't trust people. So although we had a great connection, there was a part of me that was reserved. And so, like you said, at night before going to bed, it was like you or in alone in your room. I found myself having conversations with myself and like how can I give myself advice if I don't know what to do? So I would just all these thoughts would just I would just rehearse and you would just go through it. So I think now the reason why I'm an overthinker or high neurotic is because I prepare for everything that's about to happen. I got to go through everything. I think about everything. I repeat everything. And my son's like, "Why do you repeat everything you said? I don't like when you repeat me. When you repeat stuff that you're telling me." I'm like, "I'm just making sure that you heard me." He's like, "I heard you. It's a habit that I have, so please forgive me." I repeat.
do you remember do you remember why you do that?
What?
You repeat yourself.
No,
So,
I just know that I picked. I don't know
so
when it
you
came
started
about.
doing that when you were told that you had a learning disability.
Oh yeah, because I was
And
labeled mentally retarded.
because you were like that, and then so you started doing that, which I think was your mechanism to be like,
Yeah.
F you, no, I don't.
Mhm.
Like, and not everyone's a fast learner. Like, I was reading at a college level at 13. Not
And
everyone,
I tell my kids
right? Like,
now, it's not that you're dumb or slow, you need more practice. You need to practice. Practice leaves room for improvement. So I don't want
absolutely.
nobody taking labels and running with it because they did label me mentally retarded and put me in a special class and that's where all just was like, well, I don't know it. I
But
guess I
that
don't
could
know it.
also
I
have
don't have to
hindered
push.
you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. looking back on it, like I remember that's when you started it, was then you would start repeating things like almost to train yourself, like
Rehearsing.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lose what you're telling me. Like I'm gonna show you like I'm not I'm not retarded. Like, you know, not sorry, I know that we're not allowed to use that word, but I'm like, but that's what they told us
That's
at
what they
the
told me
time,
back then,
right?
though, y'all.
But that's exactly what they said. So, you know, I mean, granted, it's not great, you know, but even then, mental issues were
Yeah.
go see a therapist, go see a therapist.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, what if me and this therapist don't vibe? You're telling adults nowadays, go check out your therapist, go see them, go like, no, we were forced on people.
Yes.
And then we were
What are you gonna
forced to
say?
have caseworkers, and those caseworkers were seeing like 8 or 10 different kids a day. And we weren't exactly the nicest people to our caseworkers. So
Yes.
shout out to all the
Yes.
caseworkers out there because it is not easy to deal with us
You
foster
don't put the
kids.
blame all on y'all.
Yeah, we don't.
But
We appreciate you guys doing your job, but you know, but it was like even then with like you had to have your one-on-ones with them and go get your ice cream and
yeah.
but it sucked because some of like the therapists were just there to do a job. It was like you needed someone to get past our we didn't trust. So we
Yep.
had armor up and nobody was willing to do the work to get
Yep.
past our armor.
Yep. That is
And
so true.
right? So, and because of that, we would just show up, we would tell them what we'd want to say, we'd be little a-holes, we would do the reverse psychology on them. Like we would
Mhm.
play all the games that, you know, and we didn't really get anything out of it. You know, as I got older, I realized that I had a huge attitude and you know, I do feel bad for the way that I treated my caseworkers. You know what I mean? But I also know that the service that I used, Access Services, my very first caseworker became the director. And after I got out of foster care, I did a video for them because they
Oh,
considered a success. Like you know, I had a job, I got married. You know, she even met my
wow.
daughter. That was my very first caseworker. So imagine like how young she was, right? And I'm
Hmm.
42 now, guys. So, um, you know, and she like didn't have kids when we met. And then, you know, so it's kind of, it was awesome that she reached out. Because in your mind, like you write everybody off that kind of was part of that life because
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to deal with it. And unless we have like the relationships that we do, but even you and I, let's be real, like we conversation, but we don't talk like this, right?
Yes.
About it. We just
Yes.
let it go because I know you're happy and you're thriving and you know I'm
Hmm.
happy. I'm trying to thrive. Work's kicking my butt. But you know, I'm thriving from that perspective. And um we don't want to bring each other down, right? Because
Yeah.
we know what that's like. And so we talk about the fun things, the good things. And I know that you went through hell the last couple years. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for you the way that I wanted to be, you know.
I appreciate that.
And that is something that again, we make decisions and I don't think I really understood life until one of my really good friends just died this past October of cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry for your
And it
loss.
was quick. And
Whew.
you know, she had breast cancer, and then she was, you know, remission from it, and all of a sudden started feeling sick this summer, and then within weeks was gone. And I think that's when I realized I was like, I need to do better at maintaining the relationships that are meaningful to me.
And I
Um,
think it's important because to what you said, I think it's important to realize that you're right. We need to have these conversations in order to move forward because having fun and laughing, it can only last but so long because I feel like it's a numbing mechanism. It's like we're gonna move on as if nothing happened. And
yep,
the fact that you and I can sit excuse me, you and I can sit here and go through our story of what we've been through and then get to a point where we realize we may have caused a little bit of pain. Although you weren't my mom and it wasn't your responsibility to protect me or to be there, you still became my sister. And
right.
that was something that I couldn't let go of. But because I don't share it with nobody, I put it to the back of my head like it wasn't even there. But it was something that there's something in me that still struggles with what if I connect with this person and I lose them?
And I lose them. Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I deal with the loss? How do I deal? And then that became a cycle throughout my life. I noticed that everybody I built a relationship with eventually it ended and it caused me pain. And one being with my 17-year-old, was my 17 year of marriage, being in that relationship, and then it's gone because somebody made the decision that they're out of it, type of thing. And then life hits and you don't know how to get it back. It's a cycle that I don't want to be in. So it's a cycle that even now in what I'm in now, um I I told him, you have to fight harder than I push, because out of fear I want to run, and that I'm impulsive, and it comes out through my words. And
Yep.
so now you're hearing my words say, I just don't know about this, I might just go back to where I'm from, and da-da-da-da, and you'll hear the fight, because I build my relationship on being transparent. um I give him honesty without him asking, and sometimes that can be a lot. So the fact that he's strong enough, to deal with it, and he gives me his transparency without me worrying about if he's gonna hurt me or not. Because I'm like, we big kids, but we're grown-ups. Like, give
Right.
it to me straight. I can't work in gray. So I give him that, and I'm telling him, like, what you're going to hear is what's in my head, and I need to get it out.
I
And
gotta
don't
get it
take it
out.
personal, because I've been in this habit for years because of what I've been through. And
Right.
I'm scared of the loss. I'm scared of grieving. I'm scared of what it might do, because okay, let's be honest. I'm a recovering addict. If you think about it, I never went to an AA meeting, but I did parties and alcohol to numb the pain. I partied with family members so we wouldn't have to deal with the bad things that happen. We moved past it. That was a numbing thing for me, because let's laugh, let's not talk about nothing serious. It was just going to men for pleasure. Like, it was just me. I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want anything that would bring me happiness.
Just
The
did not want
second
to
of getting
feel.
away, I was all for it, except for the hard drugs. I didn't want to do that, but I did smoke or whatever weed. But I had a limit, and even with that, I know that I was addicted to stuff. And so I'm addicted to running, and I'm addicted to the chase. Why? Because it tells me that I'm worth you fighting for me. Like, I'm worth it. And so being addicted to the chase, although I don't want to run from you, will come out. And I told him that, I warned him, like, this is what's going to happen. And I don't want it to. I'm fighting. I've been in coaching. We're doing therapy. So I'm working towards healing, and I'm working towards a different outlet. But sometimes my habits will come out. And if you don't pull harder than I push, I'm gonna push you away. And so that's why I feel like it's great that we're having this conversation, so you and I can, move forward, because I do love you. I do miss you. I
Yeah.
loved when I think I met your daughter and your son when they were little, through I baked the cake or
Oh, they're
something.
taller than us now.
Yeah, I know, right? So, they're beautiful, and your daughter looks just like you. She plays softball, right?
Yes. So
So I'm
she
like,
just
she came out like her mama. I love meeting
she
them. I love it, but I
she's
think it needs to be healthy.
yes, and that's where it's like, if I'm willing to cut off relationship with my biological, then I should be willing to turn around and my non-biological be able to give them that energy that I'm not
Yeah,
giving, right?
yeah.
So it's just a shame, because like I said, you don't you don't really look at things until you start getting older, like, because you're so everybody's selfish, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just
Mhm.
you're dealing with your own life, your own problems, your own kids, your own work, your own, do I
Yeah.
have enough money to feed my to anybody this week, or pay the bills, or not get the electric shut off, or
Yes.
like, are we going to have a house to live in? And then we have goals,
Mhm.
like, my biological father said that I wasn't going to finish my degree. Well, you know me well enough to be like,
Mhm.
okay. So he said I wasn't going to have it done before 35. I did. He said I wasn't going to have a house before 40.
Challenge accepted.
I did. Oh, absolutely. So I'm like, all right, that's all I really needed. I've just been lazy. Like, I'll do it now just to prove you wrong. But, um, like, but that's where it's like, we also don't take the time to just go, look at what we've accomplished.
Yes.
You have beautiful, amazing children that are growing up to be their own adults in this world.
Yes.
I, you know, m- I have yelled and screamed and cried about softball since she was 4. So I'm just excited not to yell and scream and cry about softball. I mean, now I'm just going to be doing it on TV,
Yeah.
because she she picked a school that I'm like so proud of. But so she got accepted to the
Oh.
University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
Woo.
It's a historically all black college, which I think is amazing because
Yes.
she's mixed. And I obviously can't teach her her culture. So I'm like, go, like, learn, go get
Yes.
out of that, like, go, like, that is awesome. You know, she's got a coach that's rebuilding. She's like, she's so pumped. And I tell her, I'm like, breathe. Like you did all this yelling, all the fighting in the car rides because we were yelling, you don't have your cleats. Yes, I have my cleats, like no,
Yeah.
you don't. And of course we get there and she doesn't have her cleats. So I
Football.
have to go
Yep, I
buy.
get
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I told you, like we yelled and argued for half an hour. Do you have all of your stuff? And you said yes. And
Mhm.
mom, I'm old enough. I have my stuff packed. And yet we get to where we need to go and it's not packed, right? So but it's like all of that was worth it. Look at what you're gonna do and look at
Mhm.
where you're going. And it's like, it's almost like it's not about me anymore. Like, people can hurt. Like, if you love me, great. Then I want a relationship with you. And I wanna, go on vacations and I wanna have girl trips or I wanna, have our kids hang out. But if you don't like me, I'm not people pleasing anymore. We've done
Amen.
that for a long time. And
Yes.
we've been fake for so long, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm real and I'm authentic, and people don't know how to take that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm very brash, which you've known me for a very long
Mhm.
time. I just
Mhm.
speak and I don't know how to fluff it. And it's just, yes, I do care about your dog and I do care about, but sometimes I just want to ask you a question and I don't know how to word it right. So,
Yes.
and that comes across aggressive
Mhm.
because I'm a female. If I was a man, it would be all right. But because I'm a female, it's aggressive. And so, but I also realize it's different audience, different people. And,
Yeah.
that's part of maturing, right? Like it's
Mhm.
part of growing up. And so I have just figured out like I refuse to waste my energy. And this is a motto I've taught my kids. I just didn't follow it until later.
Yeah.
But it was like, don't waste your energy on people that aren't going to waste their energy on you. And that includes family. That
Yes.
includes
Yes.
blood. Like
Yep.
blood is everyone's blood's thicker than water. And I will tell you, my some of my strongest relationships are those that are not blood,
Yes.
and those that I trust to know that if we were playing that, trust game where you have to fall back and
They
someone,
gonna catch you?
they're gonna catch me. My
Mhm.
family would not. They would let me drop and laugh at me, right? Like
Yeah.
and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's a different relationship. And it's like you almost have to evolve to that point where
Yeah.
you're not gonna I know that I'm not gonna have that relationship with my biological mom that other people have with theirs. And would I have loved to have that? Absolutely. Would I have loved to felt that safety, security, mom, nurturing? She's always got my back. She's gonna rip someone's head off for me. Like someone has my back for a change.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. And I'm okay with that because I know that I'm there for my kid.
Yes.
It's almost like not about them anymore. So it's like I just don't have room to relive it.
Yeah.
Um, but I would like an apology. I am going to put that out there for the record. I
Yes.
would like an apology. Like, I'm sorry that I was a stupid adult back then. You shouldn't have had to go through some of that stuff. And yes, even if I was an asshole child, I was still a child.
Mhm.
How would I have known any better? And we
Yep.
just learn behaviors from those that are adults,
Yes.
correct? So,
Mhm. We
you know,
imitate.
um, being told that I was the reason that my dad and my mom broke up at 7 years old. How is that possible? It had nothing to do with the fact that he wasn't faithful. You know what I mean? Like it's just conversations like that that it's like if they were listening today, I would be like, I'm fine with everything that happened in the past.
Mhm.
But there is that big little part of me that is resentful.
Mhm.
And that's a little bit evil. And it's that little bit of a demon on my shoulder that's just like, but because I am a parent now, you could have at least said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you didn't,
Yeah.
and so that's where I do have a little bit of anger in regards to that. But
Mhm.
from a mental perspective, I'm okay. Even if I never get that, they have no influence on how my kids love me and how like that's the love though that we were missing, that we looked for. And we didn't realize that right until we had kids.
Yes.
And to see that little baby want you, need you, and all you want to do is fight for them, it's
Yes.
hard then to look at your parents to be like, I don't think you fought enough, which then circles me back to the same habit that I have that you have. It's a lot easier to run and get chased. When you're chasing me, I know that I'm worth it. I know that you're putting the effort in. You're fighting for me. That's what we were missing. But I'm running because, oh shit, this might be real. And I don't want to lose this. And I've had too much loss in my life already
Yeah.
that this could break me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Granted, at this point, I had a child. I lost a child. I birthed them. His name was Casey. But my cervix, apparently, I'm a fluke. I can't actually hold kids. But I held him until he passed away. I almost did not, because I didn't, because of that cycle that we have. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to, and I was already numbed with the drugs, but there's not enough drug. I don't care how much drugs they give you at the hospital. There's not enough to deal with that.
Yes.
So, but I almost didn't. And I remember talking to the nurse who happens to be my son's godmother, and was like, "Is he still alive?" And she said yes. And I said, "I can't have him go without me like that. I couldn't do that. I could not. Like it made me physically ill. I could not do that."
Mhm.
And so to feel that type of strength, that type of love, and to understand now that we didn't get that, that's where the running comes from. That's where the chasing comes from, because we do want that. We want that more than anyone could possibly even understand. We want to know that it's not constantly us fighting, that maybe we can take a break from fighting and
Mhm.
someone can have our back for a change. Someone could fight our battles for a change.
Mhm.
And because we don't have that, when we do find it, our first gut is to, oh, nope, this isn't going to work for me. Like I'm a cat. I'm trapped in a corner. I don't want to be trapped. I need my, like, I need you're too, you know what I mean? Like I need to figure
Yeah.
this out. And so then you run and you want to run because so if your significant partner is anything like mine, it's not easy, but
Yes.
I over explain. Like I
Mm.
over explain my emotions and I over explain like this is why I'm speaking to you this way. Like this is why I'm trying to, like it's and it is too much for them because they don't understand. But
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to fight with you, but I need you to understand that I'm not, like it's not you, it's the situation, but it's a bunch of PTSD
Yeah.
of all of this is how I've had to survive my whole life. And I'm working on it, but just like it took my whole life for me to get here, it's
Yeah.
going to take a long time for me to get rid of those habits. And
Mhm.
if you can stick with me through it, I promise it's going to be worthwhile. It's going to be beneficial. This is going to be the best relationship you've ever had. And we are going to have ups and we are going to have downs because let's be real, they're not perfect either.
Yes.
And they have their own baggage from whatever they deal with, right? Or lack
Mhm.
of baggage if they don't
Yep.
talk about it. And that's where it can cause some frustration and some turmoil in a relationship because we recognize what we're doing
Yeah.
while we're doing it, and then we try to over explain why we just acted like that. And they're like, you just are a psycho person right now. Like, I don't get it. But it's like, it makes sense to us
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, and so I completely get where you're coming from there. And, if they're, my thing is if they're not willing to put up with it, then they're not strong enough for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't be strong enough for me like this, how are you going to be strong enough for me when I break down? When I'm
Yeah.
not going to be, when I'm going to have that day when it's not going to be a strong day, because that's when I'm going to need you to pick me up. And
Yeah.
if you can't pick me up now when I'm just having a little crisis of identity, then, I don't know if I want to, put myself in
Yeah.
that situation or if I want to open my heart and trust you because that's a risk. And I don't know if I'm willing to take that right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but
And I keep telling him like I'd rather give you the real me so you can make your own decision if you want to stay
absolutely.
or go. And we don't
Yeah.
have to have time because a lot of times time keeps people together when they should have just split up. And for him, I said, I just want to give you the real me. I want the real you. I know that women, some people ask, like, do I look fat in this outfit? And they don't want you to say they look fat. For me, don't let me leave the
Right?
house looking a mess. Like I ain't have a mirror or a friend. Like, be honest.
Good. But then
So
also remember, I'm that friend. If you're going to ask, I'm going to give you the honest truth. And I'm going to be
exactly.
like,
And
yeah,
that's
you look,
why I
yeah,
love
like
you.
you're
Yes, Luce Marie, you look a mess.
like, I don't know what's with the hair today, but might want to just work on that.
Like, so I need him because I told him too many people lied to me. Too many people.
We don't know what to believe anymore.
Yes, they give
You're
you what they
beautiful. You're
think you want to
pretty.
hear.
I love you.
And so I told him, tell me the truth. Give me the transparency, the truth when I don't ask. If I have to ask you a question and you tell me the truth, I'm gonna appreciate it because you were honest with me. But I'm like, damn, did you just feel sorry because I found out? Like, just tell me the truth at all times. Just be honest, be open, and I will do the same. And then so he's like, for our tribe listening, I want you to know that that's not easy. So pick a spot if you're in a relationship. I want you to pick a spot where you meet with your partner and that's your safe space. So it can be in your bedroom if you don't want those energies. I'm a big energy person. I don't want it in my bedroom. We do it in the
Nope.
shower. We stand turn to you don't even have to be naked. Let's not make it like that. You can stand with your bathing suit, like whatever, shorts, shirts, whatever you feel comfortable with. Stand on opposite ends of the shower. You turn on the shower, let the water run. And this was his idea because the water, he said, it would just cleanse everything down the drain. You can get some essential oils, whatever you want to do, make it however you want to make it. And you stand in the safe space and you can say anything you want to say, and understand that you say it in love with compassion. You're not trying to hurt or kill the person. You're not trying to dehumanize somebody. You're not trying to take their experience away. You're listening with the intent to understand. You allow it to be said. You then find a solution if there's a solution. If not, come together and slowly start moving to each other to that water and hold each other, allowing everything to go down the drain. And then you're coming out of that safe space knowing that you are loved, that that person's not running away. And if they are willing to sit there and listen to the stuff you got to say, especially when you're like me, woo, it's 20 people inside of me. He deals with it.
Absolutely.
So if you're willing to deal with the 20th person, by the time we done, I know you're not going nowhere. I gotta remind myself of that. Because if they love me that much to listen, to sit through it, to hold me, to cry with me, then to come out and still parent with me, do life with me, I'm good. I got to keep reminding myself I am good. So yes, I just want the tribe to understand, like to know that you pick a safe space and just talk.
Definitely. Communication is key.
Yeah.
And I know we touched about over explaining, but that's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely recommend, like, if you're a partner of, maybe your significant other who might resemble the same traits that we resemble, the worst thing you can do is cut them off and diminish that conversation. And like, I get if it's heated, right? Like, it gets heated, you guys need a break, take that break. But if he or she needs to, or they need to come out and express, and if they need to keep talking, if they might over explain the situation, heck, I over explain articles sometimes because we have a lot of feelings, and we didn't, again, the therapy that is there today was not at all what we had
Yes.
growing up. It was just talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, write it down, scream in a pillow, like it just, be able to express it. But it's not always about expressing it. It's about understanding it. It's about going, okay, well, why am I thinking like this? Like, and being able to figure out, like, okay, well, I should be able to explain my feelings, but you're not getting what I'm saying. And so, because we have all of these different emotions running on at one time, like that's what most people don't understand. They're not just like one emotion at a time. Like we're being hit from all angles because
Yes.
something you said could have triggered
Ooh.
a memory, something that the way that you looked at me could have triggered a feel, like you turning your back on me, like there's all different things that could trigger multiple emotions simultaneously at once.
Yeah.
And then when that hits, that's when we end up having, those type of conversations where it's just blah, 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 blah. It's like a word
Yeah.
jumble, but it's not really a word jumble. It absolutely makes sense.
Mhm.
It's hard, and it's not like we can shut it off. So, I mean, if my advice, I mean, if you definitely have someone who's like that and they need to share and they're over explaining or they're repeating themselves, let them. It's
Mhm.
not killing anybody, right? Like they have to do it for a reason. They're getting something out. And sometimes it might take two or three times to be able to work through that conversation or work through that memory or work through that feeling. And yeah, as a partner, you might get sick of hearing the same damn story over and over again.
Yeah.
But you're actually doing more good by just listening,
Yeah.
allowing those of us that are like that to be able to just work it through. That is our way of working it through. And because you're a safe space, regardless of where you are, you're still my safe person. You're my person, right?
Mhm.
So I just need you to just be there. It's almost like at work, right? When
Yeah.
you're like, I know something and I need to call something. As soon as I call my coworker, I'm like, never mind, I remember now and I figured it out. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you just need to like work it out. So, I mean, but that is one thing that my husband and I, we fought about, like, because he's like, oh my God, like you're just over explaining and just like enough already. And I'm like, yeah. So at the moment that you did that, I just went from 0 to 120 bitch in mode in my head. And
Yeah.
I like, because that's now I just went from I'm trying to explain my emotions that I'm not angry, I'm something completely else.
Yeah.
But because you just cut me down like that, I'm now angry. And now my entire attention is focused on that one person who probably is going to get the brunt of a lot of emotions that he shouldn't get.
Yeah.
Right. So, and, as we've gotten older and I've been able
Mhm.
to recognize this more, there's times I just look now and I'm just like, okay. Right. It's just like, okay. All right. It's just like, I'm like, I'm just not even going to deal with this one this time. I'm pick and choose my battles.
Yes. And let me just say, if you're somebody listening in and you have someone in your life that resembles us, for me, what works in this relationship, because he, like I was telling another person I was interviewing, he asked me to be soft. I don't know what soft is, since soft was a thing. I've never been soft. I've always been a fighter. I don't realize if I'm being soft or rough. It's not, you know. So with
We
him,
are
like
just who we are.
yeah, like I asked him to explain it to me because I was honest. I said, I don't know what that is. And he explained what he meant by soft. Then, so now that we got to explaining what we need for us, for the relationship to work, what he does for me is my love language, learn your spouse's love language, because mine is, it changes over years. Like it changed, quality time was number one, but I do love physical touch. Depending, I don't like to be touched all the time and by certain people. I just don't like to be touched all the time. But when it's, I need to feel grounded, I need to feel an anchor, and I need to feel safe. He'll calmly like come say, he'll ask me. That's an important thing for me, that you ask to enter my space. He'll ask me, can I touch you right now? And he'll grab my hands if I say yes. If I say no, he'll respect and just sit close to me. But he'll then slowly, as we go on, and he can tell my body language, he'll put his hand on my leg, or because I shake a lot. And so he'll put his hand on my leg or grab my hands and stuff like that. And just tell me, he'll say it calmly, not like, because when you do the Puerto Rican, when you
Oh, you used
start,
to do that
don't
all
lift
the
the
time.
finger,
All the time.
because
You
then I
used to
got
do
clapped
that.
back. That's not what we don't want. That he no, for real, but he'll sit next to me. He'll ask me if I want him to touch me. If I say yes, he will. And then he tells me, he'll look at me. He'll ask me to look at him, because I tend to look off. He'll ask me to look at him, and he tells me calmly, I love you, and I'm not the one you're fighting against. Only
Wow.
because my aggression comes out towards him, or my anger. And in the moment, it's not because of him, but because, I'm a Puerto Rican, I'm already loud. I don't know how to calm down. Like, and so he knows that. And he like, I'm not the one you're fighting against. We're here as a team. I love you and I'm willing to listen. And so I'm like, Okay, it'll hit me, and then I can gather my thoughts and then talk to him. Because surprisingly, this is the first relationship where I'm not yelling. This is the first relationship where we have communication, transparency, and I'm proud of that because it took so many years. And I am sorry. Let me publicly say this because he already knows how I feel. To my ex-husband, the father of my children, the love is still there as a friend. I do apologize because I was not easy and I was a yeller and we argued all the time. And if I didn't feel like you got me, I was in your face. And there was moments where I was a sweet person and I was calm. And then, all of this stuff. So to you, the father of my children, listen, you deserve an award for being with me.
I mean, everything about you is about me too, because I'm the same. I think I've just mellowed out. Either that I'm losing my voice, so it doesn't have the same effect. Plus, my kids are older, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But at the same time, he's an ex for a reason. So, right?
Yeah. No, I mean things happen. I just feel like when you break up, you don't we don't need to fight. We don't need to put but I
Yeah.
just want to say I know I'm not easy. I know I wasn't an easy person. And neither was he, but I wasn't trying to talk. I was trying to be heard and
I
nobody
was
was
trying to be
listening. We
heard.
weren't listening. We didn't know how to communicate. And that's the
Right.
thing. Um some relationships end and that's okay and we didn't know how to let go. And with this one, I know that it's different and I know it's real because of the way I desire to change and the way he desires to change and the way we make each other feel. So when, like I said, if you're somebody listening in that has a spouse who's been in foster care or been in a situation that changed who they are over time, or yourself and you're in a relationship, there's some things that we need to learn how to do. There's some things that are imperative to implement in a relationship so it can work. Because you'll go back to that fight or flight or fawn thing, freeze in the moment. Sometimes you remain stuck in unhealthy situations. You don't know how to let go when it's time to let go because you want to hold on to everything. So you become a hoarder. Yeah. So, whew. Ah,
Girl, we made it though.
yes. What is
We made it.
something that you're proud of? Like, what is something you're like extremely proud of? Like, yeah, I did that.
I bought a house.
Woo!
Like, I know that like I come from a family that had money, you know what I mean? Like, both sides of the fence. I grew up in a trailer, just, for those on
Mhm.
here. I did grow up in a trailer, but I've also grew up with money. But I never thought that I would have anything that was mine.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and so,
I get it.
and my drive was my kids.
Mhm.
Actually, no, if I'm being honest, my drive was because I wanted to do something for me. Like, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something.
Mm.
And I did a couple things dumb. Like, I did go to college right after high school, but then I dropped out. And then, but I ended up finishing my degree with 2
Mm.
kids. So I don't definitely recommend doing it right after high school because it's a lot easier without
Yeah.
kids.
Yes, it is.
Um, but like I actually, I mean, you know this about me. Like I enjoyed school. Like I
Yeah.
liked learning. And I did want to make something of myself, but the way that the workforce is today is not how we were brought up for it to be, right?
Yeah.
And so looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have gone into like the IT aspect, like, because of where we're at today.
Yeah.
And but it took I had a journey, and looking back, there's definitely where you can see like which path you took, right? Like you can
Mhm.
go and I always wonder if I didn't take one path, if I would have taken another. But I look at it this way: I'm like, my kids are happy, my kids are
Yes.
healthy. I have a phenomenal husband. I mean, he's still a husband for those who are listening. You know what I mean? And I do have family and I do have friends.
Yeah.
But I am getting to that point, as I said, that I'm like, it can't just be a one-way street anymore, right? Like I
Mhm.
can't just be me wanting to have the relationship. Like I want people to want to have one with me too, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and it's like I'm the one calling, I'm the one reaching out. I'm like, I'm tired of doing that. Like either
Mhm.
I'm involved in your life or call me when you're able to. We'll get together then, right?
Mhm.
There's no judgment because everybody's different.
Mhm.
Everybody's busy. but I do want to work more on, being
Yes.
with the family that really means a lot to me. And I want my kids, like our kids, like, we can
Yes.
have a family reunion someday and there's going to be like 50 of them around. And
Hmm.
like, we're going to look back and be like, wow, like in foster care when you were 14, I'm 16, 17, 18. And it like, never would you couldn't have asked us what we thought our life was going to be like. You couldn't have asked us, do you have a wedding planned like some of the girls,
Yes.
you couldn't have asked us that because
Mm.
we weren't able to dream. We
Yeah.
were too busy just trying to figure out day by day, let alone what our future husband would look like or our future girlfriend would look like, or and so I just, that was the one thing that I'm proud of, is I was able to give my kids a somewhat, because I was divorced as well,
Hmm.
that was rough a little bit, but with the custody and everything, but a normal, stable childhood where they felt that no matter what happened, they could call mom and mom would be there. And mom, if you did something wrong, mom's going to scream at you, but I'll at least wait until tomorrow, right? Like if it's that
Hmm.
bad. So, um, and my kids are doing great at school. My daughter managed her dream. Like I
Ooh.
just never thought, with all of the trauma that we went through, that we would end up normal
Yeah.
in society's version of normal, not my version of normal, because
Ugh.
I think us, we are our own breed, and there's very few of us out there, but those that are out there, like, we do need to come together. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't like normal. I've never been one for normal.
For real.
I everybody's individual, and that's what makes us amazing as the human race, is because you're wearing pink and I absolutely can't stand that color.
Oh.
But I do have our Eagles on though, so there
Oh
is
my.
that. Um, but like,
I
you
should
know
have
what
put
I
on
mean?
my shirt. You should have told me.
I should have. Like, yes. I'm half tempted to buy the $100 Eagles bobbleheads. Don't tell my husband.
Listen.
But like, I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that I could have done better,
Mhm.
the things that we did growing up, but for not having much support, for not
Yes.
having a support system, for not having really any effing guidance of what the hell to do when you turn 18 and you don't have a place to live anymore. Um,
Hmm.
we made it. Like, I mean, we've done better than people who've had coddled lives,
Yes.
and it really, it brings it down to, it's about choices. It's about, are you willing to be this type of person or this type of person? And like
Yes.
you said, you partied, I partied, the guys, like, it was a way to not feel, but then it was like, is that really our way to live?
Yeah.
And I had my daughter at 26. How old were you for your first?
I got pregnant at 16, had him at 17.
17, right? Like, you were a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 26, and I still think, oh my God, I was not at all old enough to
Yeah.
have kids. Just because my body says that we're old enough to have kids doesn't mean that mentally we're old enough to have kids. And
Hmm.
we had to learn things, but we also, again, you're dealing with your own trauma while trying to bring a new child into this world,
Yep.
right? Like, that's like working 18 full-time jobs in one.
Yes. Whew.
It's not, you don't even know how to be a kid, let alone raise one. And and I say that because I felt the same at 26, because I can only imagine what you felt at 17.
Yeah.
Um, but like, did you have your family with you? Did you not? Like, you could have been alone. Like, those are
Mhm.
things, as your bigger, like a bigger sister, I'm like, oh my God, like I could have been better. But you know what I mean? Like, it's those are the things I feel guilty about. But I also know that you and I have a relationship that we could have not talked for 10 years and seen each other and picked it up where we left
Yep.
off.
Yep.
I also know that if I am ever in trouble, I could call you, and vice versa.
Amen.
So,
Yes.
you know, um, so as much as I felt guilty, in my mind, I was like, well, then be better.
Hmm.
Reach out to her, see how she's doing, do the things that she asks to do, go visit, like, you know what
Hmm.
I mean? And you're only 3.5 hours away from my in-laws in Texas, so we can make that work, right?
Okay.
Um, and like, so it's just like you said, it's just all about like learning from these experiences and
Hmm.
growing. But I'm proud of us. I'm proud of
Yes.
you. I'm proud of Rose. I'm proud of hell. I'm proud of Melissa and Becky and Sherry. Even Sherry. um,
Listen.
like and Brenda. Um, I feel like we failed Erica, and I know you feel that way.
Ugh.
But that's where we have to, she's in a better place. You and I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mentally, she's in a better place. But that's where it's like, what could I have done? If I was still having like,
I
what
deal with
could I
that.
have done to help her?
Yeah.
Other than be there for her. And maybe that's all it took, right? And so my greatest regret is Erica and not being more of a bigger sister to her. But I am proud of all of us because each one of us have our own individual story,
Yeah.
but we were all able to do it and we all did it without help, or we were able to lean on the family that wasn't actually blood to get us help,
Yes.
right? So, but my kids, Marie, I am so unbelievably proud of my kids, and I
Mm.
am so sad that I lost one because I always said I wanted three. Apparently I needed to specify when I prayed, but it's okay. So he's our guardian angel and he's watching out for us. But I am my biggest achievement is my kids because I honestly never thought that I would be well enough mentally
Hmm.
to be able to be a mom, to be a mom. Anyone could be a mom, but to be a mommy, to be a good mother, to be someone who's there, someone who fights, someone who supports them. And yeah, you're gonna have your moments with the kids. I absolutely yell at my kids, and the older they get, the easier it is to yell at them because they're not scared. They just know mom's like, ah, here she goes again, right? And but that's part of parenting. It's just that makes my heart full, and God forbid if I were to go tomorrow, I know that they love me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that they're going to be okay because I raised them to be strong. I raised them to ask questions. I raised them to ask for help, which is not anything we would have ever done.
Yes.
I raised them to use their voice and to stand up for themselves because nobody else is going to do it for you. And
Hmm.
sometimes, guys, guess what? Adults are wrong. So
Yes.
even as kids, adults don't know everything. And nobody ever told us that. We had to follow every single adult to the letter, and they can be wrong.
Yeah.
And some adults, as we know, because we're adults now, are stupid. So,
Sometimes it's like kids and grown up bodies.
right? So it's like you have to look out for you while still having empathy and kindness for others.
Yep.
And if my kids are raised that way, then I did my job, and I could die tomorrow and I'd be okay. You know what I mean? So they are my biggest things that I am proud about. But it's that's my accomplishment, but it's not really me accomplishing. I raised them. They got themselves where they got to today, but I
Yeah.
raised them. But at least I have that relationship where my kid can talk to me about intimacy issues. My kid
Yeah.
can talk to me about drugs and alcohol. My kid can talk to, like, we can have these open, honest conversations, and we have to. I mean, there's guidance counselors sleeping with students in middle schools. There's shootings every other week. It's like we have to have these conversations, just like we have to have these conversations about foster care, because the more people know, the more educated, the more that we can arm our children with the correct knowledge to be able to handle those situations should they ever be in them. Um, but with that being said, because our kids are not in the system, I've also been very keen and very highly aware to educate them on, you guys are princesses and princes compared to some kids. And you
Mm.
need to understand that you are very privileged and that mom has worked really hard to get the life that you have. And yes, we're not the Kardashians, we're not the Hiltons, but you guys have never gone hungry. You've never gone without a bed or clothes or food.
Yeah.
And when I say clothes, I'm talking about name brand stuff. like,
Hmm.
like I'm able to do that for you, and that makes me feel good. I want to do that for them because we didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
Um, I want to do that for them, but I also need them to understand that that's not everybody, and you got to understand that there are people that are in situations that are worse than you, and you need to look out for them. Like, I've always taught them, look out for the underdog. Don't be
Yes.
the bully, stand up to the bully.
Mm-hmm.
And if that gets your ass beat, then that gets your ass beat, but you did the right thing. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And there's not everyone can stick up for themselves. Not everybody has a voice. Not everybody can speak. I mean, we know kids that absolutely shut off when they went through traumatic events and they never spoke for years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got to be able to speak for them, you know?
Yes, I agree.
And like I said, with everybody going out of the system, there's got to be conversations to be able to help get them into college, get them into a job, or just to guide them on like how to get a freaking apartment. Did you know how to do? I didn't know how to do that.
Woo!
Like I'm like,
Life skills was not a thing.
no, budgeting, I suck at it. I mean, I'm better now, but like there was no way nobody taught us that stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's like I'm proud that I was able to teach my kids that. So, like I said, they're at least armed.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer, you can bring the horse to water, you can't make the horse drink. So,
exactly.
I've given them all the water they could possibly drink.
Yes, and that's a big thing. I'm proud of you. Like I love to hear and see
You almost
it,
got me to
because
cry too. That's a hard truth.
we gonna let it out though.
Huh.
No, but I just love to see and hear people like us who came out of the system, who fought hard. We had our ups and downs, we had our trials and tribulations, all of that, but we fought hard to be who we are today and to be in our children's lives, and to just try to give them what we didn't have. And I'm proud of you because I see it and I admire you. And I know every time I see the pictures, every time I see your kids, every time, when I met them, it's like I can see evidence of who you were to me, that you are to them, because you, like I said, it was natural nurture. The love was there. You didn't have to say it. I knew that I was safe. We had fun. So it just felt so natural to me, so real. That I held on to it for years.
Me
And when
too.
when I see your family, I said, yeah, that's her. Her daughter, a great life, because your daughter, it takes after you. And she looks like you. And y'all, it seems like y'all have a great relationship. Everybody has their things behind closed doors, and we feel like we fall
Absolutely.
short, and sometimes we do. But when there's a foundation of love, and a foundation of nurturing, a foundation of listening, understanding, communication, all of the things that we didn't have as children. I feel like your kids might go off and they might have their own lives, but they still know I have my mom. No matter what, I have my mom. Everybody may leave, whatever, I still have my mom. I can always call her for
Yep.
whatever. And that's important to me. And I give you props, because
Thank
that's not
you.
easy. It's not easy.
No, 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 it's not. But, just as much as you're proud of me, I'm proud of you too, man. Like, it's not, you've been put through the ringer, girl. You've been put through the ringer, and I've been blessed to be a part of your
Yeah.
chapters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see how, like, I'm sorry. I'm just like remembering you cursing me out for like a good 5 minutes in Spanish. And I just started cracking up laughing at you like when we were younger because I didn't understand a word, but I was like, I love your accent. That's all I remember. And I'm just like, because I remember you were angry. Like, I remember you were angry, but like, I felt like it wasn't at anybody.
Mhm.
It was your mechanism. It was your stay away from me. I don't want you to be nice to me. I don't want you to love me. I don't want that.
Mhm.
And to me, like, challenge accepted. Right?
Exactly.
So I'm like, wow, you're gonna be like this. Well, watch this. I'll crack you up. I'll make you laugh. I'll do, whatever. And that, like, I've always wanted sisters. I mean, you can, if we ever get a chance to introduce you to my biological father, I always wanted
Yeah.
sisters, and one showed up out of the blue, well, apparently when I was 18, and
Mm.
but she's not related now or something. Again, biological
Look.
drama. We won't talk about that. Um, but I never had that, right? And I always felt alone. And then it was like finally meeting you guys, and it took us a while to warm up, but then it was like something clicked, and it was like you were my safe space too.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it was like I felt like we could laugh, like we could
Yeah.
talk, we could cry, we could do whatever. I mean, hell, we could yell and scream at each other without feeling like
Yeah.
there was a reciprocation, like or you were gonna be angry or you were gonna
Yeah.
hate me or you weren't gonna talk to me anymore or like you don't love me anymore. And
Mhm.
like that's what true families should be. Like you should be able to yell and scream and say like, you're a bozo and you're a bozo and we're not gonna talk for 2 weeks and we'll be fine 2 weeks later, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just how stupid that should be for a family. And I felt like that's some of us really did connect that way.
Yeah.
And that was because it was crucial times of our lives. Like it's almost like implanted, like imprinted into us that
Mhm.
those are relationships I'm like, and I was afraid, like, I'm never going to see them again. I'm never going to get them back. Like, how do I call them? Like, how do I find them? And then that's what I was saying, like Facebook and we connected. And
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, because like I've been thinking for years, like I want to know what they're doing. Like you were important to me and
Yeah.
you meant something to me and I never wanted to lose that. So but yeah, it was crazy, but like I said, I hate social media, but I'm very grateful because I was able to connect with several of you, through
Mhm.
that. And even the ones that weren't in the foster system that were part of the family that are everyone's doing great and
Yeah.
living their best lives. And if they're not, then I do hope and wish and pray every day that they are safe and
Yeah.
secure and that they do like if you need support, if you need help, just ask. Like
Mhm.
our society is so bad with asking for help because it's like, oh, you need something or it's a business transaction. It's like, no, like I want to do it out of the kindness of my heart. So like if you need help, like I'm here to help, right? Like so
Yeah.
there's nothing in return. And I hope that our sisters know that and
Yes.
feel that. And if they don't, at least know that there's us that are here and we might not go searching for you, but we're always going to have your back if you need us. You know what I mean? So,
I agree.
but you
I
asked what
agree.
I'm proud of. What are you proud of?
I'm proud of the I'm proud of the fact that I'm in a point in my life where I got up out of the survival and fight or flight, fighting to stay alive. And I'm actually living. So I'm working with my coach now, and she's coaching me because yes, therapists need a therapist and coach need a coach. So
Right?
she's she's working with me to face fear in a different light. So I found fear to be like a bully. It kept me stuck. I just hated fear or anything that represented fear, like somebody making me fearful or scared. So I would fight against it. And so she allowed me to like reverse think and reframe and just face fear in a different light, look at fear differently as something that is alarming you or letting you know that you need more information. What don't you know? Because the times that fear come, if you think about it, is when you're in the dark or when you don't know what's around the corner or when you feel like when you feel like somebody's gonna scare you, that sort of thing. So you don't have all the information. It's not a bully because you're bigger than it, and just face it in a different light. And just the fact that I get to live, I get to enjoy life, I get to enjoy my kids. I messed up so much. Like you said, we're trying to figure this thing out. We're taking all homes with us, and it's a lot of people that came along with the 20 people that are inside of me. So just you know knowing that I messed up, my kids were able to tell me I messed up and what hurt them, and then moving forward to fix it. And they know that I'm always here. And the little ones that are in my home now, I'm just so proud of the fact that I didn't give up. That although there's times that I wanted to just lay down and just go, Lord, take me now. I didn't do that. I got up another day and I'm fighting, and it's still a mental battle because of the life that I envisioned for them didn't pan out in a sense. But I'm still here fighting with them to work through it. I actually they were all willing to take therapy. I let them do it. I didn't force it on them. It was a, do you want to? They said yes. Now they're doing it. They love it because it is different from what we had. And I'm a part of it. I'm involved. I'm receiving therapy as well as coaching. So yeah, I'm proud that I'm super proud that I don't have to fight. Like when I'm in my relationship, I don't have to like clap back. I don't have to fight. I can be what he needs me to be. I'm willing to do it. So I'm proud that I got to start this, and I'm looking forward to what this is going to bring for us. Not only as sisters, but as partners, if we choose to in the future. I would love to. I would be honored. Yeah, just I'm proud of my decisions that I made, that I learned from the old decisions. I made new ones. I'm extremely proud of that. Yeah.
You're not supposed to
No.
make me cry. I don't cry in public. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
I love you.
Oh, I love you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I, yeah, people don't really understand unless they've been in our shoes, and it's so hard. Even with my kids. I mean, you like physical affection. I was the opposite. I had to
Mm,
like train myself to
okay.
hug my kids, and like, because my family wasn't affectionate. That wasn't
Yeah.
the way that they showed it. They didn't really show it well in any
Yeah.
other way,
Hmm.
um, but like now it's like great because now I annoy my kids because now I'm like, give me a hug. I'm like, Mom loves you. And like my daughter thinks I'm weird, so hopefully you don't lose followers. But like as a baby, you know how
Hmm.
everyone has a unique smell, every
Hmm.
single one of them. And so there's that back part of that neck. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, like I still like I'll go up to her and I'm like, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, what are you smelling me for?" And I'm just like, "Because you still smell like I can still remember that baby, right? Like you're 18 now, and I can still." She's like, "You're so weird," and I'm just like, "I." But but that's one thing that was like I went from not at all being lovey-dovey to.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not fully on the other spectrum either because I'm like, please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. Like, there
Yeah.
certain people that I'm like, absolutely don't touch me. And, but like with my family now, it's more open and like, it's more enjoyable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, this is what it should have been like.
Yes.
This is what it should have been like. So, but that's great. I am so excited. I can't wait for us to plan something to meet up.
Yes.
I love your house, by the way.
Thank you.
I was stalking the kids because that's what I do. Is I stalk the kids, and I'm like, oh, look at the new house. Like, um, so like even like looking at the pictures, like when they're at the basketball games or the football games, like I feel like I'm there with you, rooting them on. Like I
Yes.
cheer for your children just as loud as I would cheer for mine,
Yes.
and I'm just so happy that you're thriving and
Thank you.
like everything worked out. I mean, not that we would have ever believed anybody if they told us that, but
Yes.
some of us have to take a longer train
Yeah.
to get
True.
here, but
Everybody's process is different.
it is. But oh, girl, you look beautiful and
Thank
amazing, and the
you.
kids are just so awesome, and I love seeing everybody succeed. And for the record, I love your man's hair, by the way. Like
Oh.
that is so like awesome, and I'm like a little jealous. But other than that,
I'll let them
um,
know. We might watch this.
oh no, I thought it was just girls only, girls only. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
No boys
Um,
allowed.
no, but it's great, and I think like as the older that we get, the
Yeah.
more like it means to see like your family and your friends, the ones that you love, just succeeding and what makes them happy because
Yes, I agree.
life is too short. We have lost many people young, and you can't get them back, right? So
Yeah.
it's just being able to take the time and reconnecting and making the memories because, now we got to make adult ones because now we can do some crazy stuff,
Yes.
right? Without children,
No.
now we can have some real fun. But just and be able because that's what's meaningful now. Like I think for me, and I don't want to speak for you, but it's the connections anymore. It's
Yes.
the lasting impact. It's the hey, I just need to talk about my day because work
Yeah,
was stupid. And just to be able to have that family to do
I
that with,
agree.
So I thank you so much for having me. I will
Oh, thank
absolutely
you
be
for
a
being
partner
on.
because I just want to get this out there.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think that we need to get more foster care programs on board and being to
yes.
do more things like this because there's a lot of information and a lot of scared children,
Yes.
and scared teenagers that, end up leaving. And, if we can help them make better choices, then isn't that what our experience is for, to make it better for the next group that comes through? So,
Yes. I
um,
agree.
absolutely, I'm here for you anytime, anything you need,
Thank
night or
you.
day. And I'll be sending you my daughter's graduation photo because that just came in.
Oh, yes. Please send it to me.
She's so
We
old. I'm
do need to
so
get together.
old. Like I
Yeah.
was like 18 2 days ago, and now I'm like 42, and it's just so like, where did it go?
Life went by so
I'm
fast.
like, God, this whole surviving daily. I didn't even get to stop and smell the roses,
Dude,
guys.
once you
Jesus.
hit 18, it's like, pew.
Right? Like,
Yeah. You're like, I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait. And then you hit 18 and it's
and I
like,
was like,
wait
I'm
a
just
minute.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Put me back in the womb. I don't want to deal with bills. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with
Yes.
politics or religions
Life
or,
is lifing.
yes, I just, no, just, no, what I tell my husband is like my dream. I don't know if I told you this, but do you watch Yellowstone?
I think I do. I think I did. I don't know if I would like watched it all the way through, but I heard the show. I heard about the show.
Okay. So Beth Dutton is Kevin Costner's daughter in the show,
Mhm.
and they live on a ranch in the middle of Montana.
Yeah.
And she walks out of her house naked and walks to a bathtub and
Yeah.
sits in the bathtub and is
I
drinking a glass
remember
of
that.
wine in front of the mountains. That is my dream. That is where I'm going to retire to.
Hashtag adult goals.
Exactly. That is adult goals right there. And like, so that's what I want to do. And I just got to convince my husband, but it might just be like a you don't have a say type of situation. But
Hmm.
he's like, it's too cold. And I'm like, fine. But I'm like, but I need my mountains. Like I could yell, I could
I
scream.
agree.
Nobody would hear me. I'm like, that is perfect. So
I agree.
that's what we're looking forward to. But I got her starting college this fall, and
Nice.
AJ goes into high school this fall. And so 4 more years, and then we'll probably think about moving out of PA. So if you're gonna move back, keep me posted so then I can stay. But if you're, really
I'm
gonna
probably
stay,
not gonna move
then I
back.
can move. I
But
can move.
yes, we do need to get together and I'm actually I should be taking a trip soon. I won't give it on here. I'm taking a trip back down Philly, Jersey and all that
Okay.
so I definitely if you can send me your address then I'll stop by
Oh yeah,
and have some
absolutely.
girl time.
Girl time. Oh God,
Yes.
we need it. We need it.
Yes.
I don't even know what going out looks like anymore. I think I like order my groceries.
I don't go out either. Listen, I don't know. At a certain age, I stopped doing parties, going out and all that stuff. But I do love sitting on a porch and just,
Right? With a bonfire.
yes.
Like,
Oh,
yes.
yes. Oh, my mom and my dad, they would set it up all the time and they would, the kids would do s'mores and I would just sit there on the rocking chair, the swing that they had and just watch it all. Like, yes. So,
That was one of my favorite things to do because my parents have a lake house, Clark Summit. And when like I'd always be like, I need to do the bonfire because we know I'm the pyro in the family. So I'm like, I need to do the bonfire. And so I would do it. And then they'd all be doing s'mores. And I would just like have my hood and I'd just be staring at that fire. And it was like the most
yes.
peaceful,
Because
calm.
it's so relaxing.
It's
And
so
that's why
relaxing.
the candles that I was making before, I want to start it back up, but the candles I was making before, they crackle. And so it was just it took me back to when my parents were, they would burn the wood and
Yeah.
stuff and we put the big pallets in the wood and you just hear it crackling. And so when I started the candles, that was my goal is to find wicks that crackle and I found it. And so now, yeah, I
It was so good to catch up with you.
yes, it was.
I love that you're doing this. And like I said, definitely hit me up. Because I would love to partner with this and
Definitely.
get some traction behind it. Because, I think I still have connections with some of the children and youth places and
Okay.
up here. So it would be good. I mean, just to even have somebody from them on. Like I can't even imagine what they think
Yeah.
sometimes. You know what I mean? Just from their
Yes.
perspective of like,
That's why I want to hear people's like what they went through, what they think, how they feel. Like I want to hear it. I want to have
yeah,
like conversations with different people I know, just like it could be real, raw, and put it out there.
absolutely.
Let's
I
work
love
through it
it.
if we need to work through it, and then let's move forward. So that's my goal. Yeah.
It's perfect. I love to actually be able to have a real honest conversation and not have to hide what I'm talking
Yes.
about, right? Like, I
Yes.
mean, I know we're not putting all details out here,
Yeah.
for public purposes, but
Hmm.
but I know that if you and I were to get off and get on a phone and go into like
Yeah.
we don't have to hide that stuff because we
Yeah.
understand what we went through. Like, whereas in a lot of times when we do have conversations with people, we tend to not tell the full story
Yeah.
because of that. And it's almost like a piece of your soul goes every time you do that because
Yeah.
you're like, no, this is really what happened. And I really want to say it, but we're not really great in a society to be able to accept those conversations or
Hmm.
even understand them or
I
empathize.
agree.
So, you have to kind of keep it tight to your chest because there's always judgment. And
Hmm.
unless you've been through it, you don't really understand. So
Exactly.
I think this is amazing. And
Yes.
kids have a beautiful role model to look up to. Um,
Thank you.
and
Yes. Same for you.
I can't see what we do with this. This is going to be great.
Yes. Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait. I appreciate you coming on. I'm honored.
Absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
I'd do anything for you, girlfriend.
Mm.
Yeah, well, let me know when you come up so
Okay.
we can get together and give everybody hugs and love from us. And
Yes.
I do need your new address though. I don't have that.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
send it to you.
please send it to me.
I
All
love
right.
you.
I love you. Give
Mwah.
those kids hugs for me,
I
okay?
will.
All right.
Same.
Bye, babe.
Bye.